Welcome to the DAK Machine Safety Podcast. We support developing a safer, sustainable workplace. Today, we'll talk about understanding variation. Controlling variation is a common issue for all organizations undergoing the journey to operational excellence. Variation negatively impacts productivity, quality, and safety. Managers and safety professionals should engage in a journey to appreciate why, when, and where variation exists, necessitating deviation from an accepted standard. Remember, workers do not create the existing system. They work within it.
Dr. Deming was discussed earlier. What did he have to say about variation?
Deming is known for the following quote: "If I had to reduce my message for management to just a few words, I'd say it all had to do with reducing variation. Before you can reduce variation, you must recognize it."
Does anyone besides Deming discuss variation and its impact on worker safety?
Sidney Dekker, noted author and keynote speaker, observed, "We live in a complex world, and workers are merely trying to deal with the real-world variation that confronts them in their daily tasks. It is up to safety professionals to identify these variables so that our standards of best practice and our systems account for the reality workers face."
What else does Dekker have to say?
In his American Society of Safety Professionals article, "Employees, a Problem to Control or Solution to Harness," Mr. Dekker observed, "Deference to expertise means engaging those who are practiced at recognizing risks and anomalies in operational processes. These may be the workers who are in direct contact with the organization's safety-critical processes. This has become a well-established prescription in research on high-reliability organizations and resilience."
That's interesting. Are there other credible sources that have thoughts on this topic?
Yes. In his book, The 5 Principles of Human Performance, Dr. Todd Conklin outlines 5 principles of human and organizational performance, HOP. These principles differ from traditional principles, which focus on ways to fix the worker. Dr. Conklin's principles include: human error is normal, blame fixes nothing, learning is vital, context drives behavior, how you respond to failure matters.
We're actively using job safety analysis, behavior-based safety, job instructions, and other methods to protect employees. Shouldn't that be sufficient?
These traditional safety methods focus on routine exposures to hazards. They do not, and cannot, predict unknown variations that may invalidate the prescribed safety procedures.
How does variation impact the potential for serious and fatal injuries?
If management creates a standard and there is real-world variation that only the worker knows about, that worker could encounter serious hazards due to the variation.
Is there a rule of thumb for dealing with variation?
Eliminate variation if you can. Deal with it if you cannot, remembering that the easy way should be safe. This is where culture plays a vital role.
Can you explain the role of culture in more detail?
Culture is what happens when you are not there. A change in thinking comes from a change in attitudes. Accept that you cannot mandate a change in attitude. Workers will change their attitude when they see proof that things helping the company also help them. If they are not asked about variables that affect their workplace standards imposed by management, they may plow ahead and face unknown hazards and risks, some of which could result in serious or fatal injury.
Do you have any tips on how to deal with that issue?
WIFM is the acronym for What's in it for me? Every adult listens with a WIFM filter. Based on respect for the knowledge of those doing the day-to-day work, management personnel might invite factory floor workers to share their knowledge. That knowledge will only be shared after going through each employee's WIFM filters.
How do I get that process started?
Ask non-traditional questions such as, where are you being told to lock out, but you need power? What guarding interferes with a task? What maintenance work order do you dread? Which job is the biggest pain in your fanny? If you own this company, which job or task would you redesign?
Those seem to be rather non-traditional questions. Why is that?
It is necessary to get employees in a mindset different from what they are accustomed to in traditional safety meetings. This different way of thinking is essential to elicit the known unknowns and unknown unknowns on the factory floor.
Are there other questions that help identify a serious risk unknown to management?
Make it personal and pose the following situation. Assume I'm a family member or friend and just hired into your plant. What unknown task has the greatest potential to kill or seriously injure me?
Is maintenance work more hazardous than normal production?
Typically, yes. During normal production with 100% first-time quality and no unplanned breakdowns, workers have no reason to be exposed to hazards. Maintenance requires that workers intentionally enter hazard areas, also known as zones of danger.
Does this increase the risk of serious and fatal injuries?
Serious injuries and fatalities have long been recognized to have increased risk when workers are engaged in unscheduled breakdowns or maintenance activities. In such situations, the variables of the task may not be known to management, and standard safety procedures, such as isolating and locking a primary energy source, may not be feasible.
What happens if the established safety procedures don't work?
In these tasks, the worker is left to his or her own devices to complete the job without injury.
How can we reduce the risk of a serious or fatal injury?
The hazard control hierarchy, also known as the hierarchy of controls, is the accepted best method for feasible risk reduction. The hierarchy includes elimination, substitution, engineering controls, awareness, administrative controls, and personal protective equipment. Typically, a combination of controls is used to achieve acceptable risk for a given task. We'll discuss risk reduction in the future podcasts.
Do you have any last thoughts as we leave this session on variation?
Remember that you are asking an adult to share his or her real-world experiences with you. If you are critical of workers' input, their feedback and opportunities to address feasible solutions cease. Consider their contributions, no matter how concerning, as nuggets of opportunities because feasible application of the hazard control hierarchy provides a toolkit to solve today's problems. Thanks for tuning into this episode by DAK Machine Safety. Today we talked about understanding variation. In the next podcast, we'll look at the hazard control hierarchy. You can support us by clicking like and subscribe. Take care, everyone, and until next time.